Hi, hello everyone. I welcome you all for today's session. Today we'll be discussing module number 2, the source of hydraulic power pumps. This is Professor Girish Adnikar from Department of Mechanical Engineering and the Institute of Technology and Management, Belgaum. So here we go. Let us start with what is a pump. A pump is a device which converts mechanical energy into hydraulic energy. Okay, so mechanical energy is the input form of energy for a pump. So this mechanical energy is provided by the rotary motion of the impeller. Now the impeller is going to rotate because it is connected to a prime mover. Right? A prime mover is a device which is power driven. In this case, it is a motor. The motor will be connected to the impeller shaft, and that is how mechanical energy will be the input. So the output will be in the form of hydraulic energy or pressure energy, because the water which is coming out of the pump will be having high pressure energy. So I either call it as hydraulic energy or a pressure energy. Right? So a pump is defined as a device which converts mechanical energy into hydraulic energy. Next, let us go through types of pumps. The first one is dynamic pump or non-positive displacement pump, and second one is positive displacement. So first, let us study about non-positive displacement pumps. So these are the few characteristics which I have listed. The first and foremost characteristic is these are low pressure and high volume flow pumps. So these are used wherever high volume or high discharge is required and pressure is relatively low. Right? So these are specifically used to transport the fluid from one place to other place, and these cannot be used in fluid power industry because they cannot withstand high pressures. Right? So it is just used to transport the fluid or to lift the fluid from the lower tank to the overhead tank. They have relatively small volumetric efficiency compared to positive displacement pumps and have low pressure discharge output. So whenever I speak regarding the term volumetric efficiency in case of pump, it should come to your mind that whenever the volumetric efficiency is small, it indicates that the leakage is large. And the other side is also true. Whenever the volumetric efficiency is large, the leakage is very, very small. So these are used for a maximum pressure limited to 15 to 20 bars. Examples of these include centrifugal pumps. So these are the normal domestic pumps which we use at our home in order to lift the water from our ground level tank to the overhead tank. And second one is axial pump, also known as propeller type pump. So this is the just graphical representation or a pictorial representation of centrifugal pump. So this is the normal construction. This is the outer casing. It is having inner part called as an impeller. Impeller will be having blades. So these are the impeller blades. So these impeller blades are mounted on a shaft. So this shaft is connected to the motor. Right. So this green color pipe is the inlet pipe of the fluid. So whenever the motor is rotating, these blades will also rotate with high speed, and the fluid which is coming in through this green pipe comes in contact with this rotating blades. Right? So these high speed rotating blades will hit hard the fluid particles which come in contact with them, and that is the reason pressure of the water particle increases. Second reason why it is going to increase is because of the nature of the construction. If you just observe this construction, the area what I am pointing over here, at this area from this point to this point, you can just check out. Here the area is less, and as we go further, it is more. Right? So whenever the area is converging, you can just check out the area is converging. So volume is also converging, and that is the reason pressure will increase. Right? So pressure is increasing because of the construction, and the second reason is because of hitting of the impeller blades to the water particle. Right? So these are the two reasons why pressure is increased, and that increased pressure fluid is thrown out of the outlet. So that is the normal working of a centrifugal pump. Next we go for positive displacement pumps. Right, so this type is universally used for fluid power system, and the main characteristic of this type of pump is it will eject a fixed volume of discharge per revolution of the shaft. Right, so the volume of the fluid pumped in per cycle or per revolution, it is constant, it remains fixed in case of positive displacement pumps. They have large volumetric efficiency, which means that the leakage is very less and are used for high pressure discharge output. So I have quantified this high pressure, it is up to 700 bars. These are usually small in size and compact in size. One best example is positive displacement pump is reciprocating pump. Right, so you people have already conducted a practical on reciprocating pump in your fluid machinery lab. Right, that is the example of a positive displacement pump. Next, before we go through the detailed study of the pumps, let us know a few things regarding what exactly is the pumping theory. Right, so to explain the pumping theory, I have made use of a piston cylinder arrangement and and a reservoir. So this reservoir is having a fluid, right? So this fluid is at atmospheric pressure because the reservoir is vented to atmosphere. So this block number 3 or chamber number 3, it is below atmospheric pressure. So now a pressure difference is created. Here it is atmospheric, here it is below atmospheric, and that is the reason fluid is taken. Now this wall in the inlet line, I call it as a chuck wall or a unidirectional wall. It allows the flow of fluid in one direction only. Right, so as the fluid starts depositing here, it exerts a pressure on this face of the piston, and that is the reason piston moves towards the left side, causing the extension stroke. So this movement of piston towards the left side continues unless and until this particular part of the piston comes and touches the cylindrical wall. So that is the end of the extension stroke. Okay. During extension stroke, fluid is sucked in, and during the retraction stroke, that is the opposite movement, if the piston rod is moving towards the right hand side, the fluid which is present here gets pressurized, and that is how this valve number 2 is opened because of pressure, and the fluid is high pressure fluid is sent out. Right, so this is the best example of reciprocating pump or a positive displacement pump. Right, so both are unidirectional valves, and this is a simple pumping theory. Now, let us go through the classification of positive displacement pumps. First one, you are having gear pumps. In that we are having 4 types: external gear pump, internal gear pump, lobe pump, and screw pumps. Next we are having vane pump. In that we are having 2 types: unbalanced vane pump, which may be fixed or variable discharge or variable displacement. And next we are having a balanced vane pump with fixed discharge only. Right? And the third type is piston pump. It is categorized into 2 things: axial design and radial design. So first let us go through the working of an external gear pump. So this is a diagram which depicts how the external gear pump looks like. Right, so let us go through the construction first. So in the construction part, we need to know that it is made up of an outer casing. So inside that we are having 2 spur gears, which will be having same number of teeth. Right, so these 2 will be rotating in opposite direction, and only one of them will be mounted on the prime mover. Right, that is about the construction. Now, if you just and one more thing regarding construction which we need to know is, here the casing and the gears should be arranged such that the clearance between the casing and the gears should be as small as possible. Right, so this clearance on both the sides between the casing and the gears should be as small as possible. As this spacing, annular spacing increases, or as this annular clearance increases, fluid will not get compressed and it will not get pressurized. Right, so it is as small as possible. So that is an advantageous for the external gear. Now, if we go for the working, so we need to understand it from this point. Here, wherever I am pointing my mouse pointer, let us concentrate at this point. Here the 2 gears are going out of mesh. They are going away from each other. Right? So the volume is increasing here at this particular point. When the volume is increasing, pressure is going to decrease. Right? Now our reservoir is at atmospheric pressure. I have not shown the reservoir here in this figure, but however we know that it is vented to atmosphere, so it is at atmospheric pressure. Now here I told you at this particular point volume is increasing, so pressure decreases, so pressure falls below atmospheric. So pressure difference is created, and that is the reason fluid is taken. So the next step, since the gears are rotating, the fluid which has taken in, it goes through this annular passage or the restricted passage, and in the due course it gets compressed and pressurized. Right? So as the fluid passes through the annular spacing from both the sides, it gets compressed and pressurized. So now we need to concentrate here at this point. So here at this point the gears are coming together or they are coming into mesh. When they are coming into mesh, volume is decreasing, and whenever volume decreases, pressure is going to increase. So there are two stages where the pressure is going to increase, and the reason why the fluid will be expelled out with high pressure. First reason is as the fluid flows through this restricted passage, it will be getting compressed, right? And that is the reason its pressure is going to increase. And in the second case, here as the volume decreases, pressure will increase, and this high pressure fluid will be sent out to the outlet port. So whenever I speak regarding pump, you should always remember that it may be external gear pump, it may be vane pump, it may be piston pump, any kind of pump. Your inlet port will always be a low pressure port, and your outlet port or the exit port or the discharge port will always be an high pressure port. Right? So this is the simple working of an external gear pump. Next, let us go through some limitations. So there are two major limitations of a gear pump. First thing is it will create a hell lot of noise because you are having moving parts such as gears. Right? So the noise is very harsh, and it is more as compared to the vane pump as well as the piston pump. Right? The second limitation is the volumetric efficiency of gear pump is very less. What I want to try or what I am trying to say here is, here from this outlet side to the inlet side there will be leakage. Whatever the fluid will be coming here, a part of it will drain back to the inlet side, and because of this the volumetric efficiency is very less. So now let us go through an animation or a GIF to see how exactly a gear pump works. Right. So here you can just observe. So at this point, so gears are going out of mesh, volume is increased, so pressure is going to decrease, fluid will be taken in, it goes through the annular spacing, gets compressed, and here once again gears are coming into mesh, volume is decreasing and pressure increases, and because of this the high pressure fluid will be expelled out of the discharge port. Right? So this is the simple working of an external gear pump. Now, volumetric displacement and theoretical flow rate. So we need to know the formulas for both these things because these are important. We are having numericals on this. If I consider d naught as the outside diameter of the gear teeth in meters, same thing as VI, which is the inside diameter. If L is the width of the gear teeth. If I take VD as displacement volume of pump in meter cube per revolution, that is how much discharge I am getting in one revolution, that is VD. N is RPM of the pump, and if I take QT as theoretical pump flow rate, then the volumetric displacement is given by pi by 4 T naught square minus VI square into L. The volumetric displacement, the unit will be meter cube. Is how much amount of fluid is taken in and how much it is delivering outside. The volume displacement. Right? So that is volumetric displacement. And theoretical flow rate is given by Qt is equal to Vd into N. Unit will be meter cube per second. This N, which is in RPM, you need to convert it into RPS so that it will be getting the unit of the discharge as meter cube per second. Right? So there must be a small clearance, that is around 25 microns between the teeth tip and the pump housing. This is what I told you during explaining the external gear pump. As a result, some of the oil at the discharge port can leak directly back towards the suction pump. Even I told you regarding this, and because of this, the volumetric efficiency of the gear pump will be very less. So this means that the actual flow rate QA is always less than the theoretical flow rate, and that is what I use to calculate the volumetric efficiency. So volumetric efficiency is equal to QA divided by QT into 100% if you want to express it in percentage. Right, so this is the formula for volumetric efficiency of the pump. So that's it for today's session. Have a good day. Take care.